All right, everyone. Welcome to the Select All podcast. As you know, we discuss random ideas, and that's why it's called Select All because we basically like to talk about everything under the sun. So today we have a bright idea that Mo has brought to the table. So, Mo, you're on mute, by the way. How
Yeah.
about you? Yeah, tell us about your bright idea.
Yeah. So I've shopped at a place some of y'all may know. It's called Indochino. I find it to be very convenient. It's basically a cust what's a bespoke suits for men or those that want a bespoke suit, so bespoke suit. So you go into any of their locations, they measure you up, they upload them to your profile online, and then you just go online, choose out your suit, choose out your designs, and they will make it custom and ship it directly to you. And now a lot of us here are either South Asian or have South Asian relations. So we know like we have a lot of different cultural wear, and sometimes finding that exact fit is very hard, especially with like kurtas or maybe even a sherwani. It's like kind of either it's very inconvenient to get something custom made, or the sizes you do find like you still have to get tailored, and it kind of defeats the point. Like there's nothing in the middle ground, and like sometimes you just don't like the design, and for you to go out find a person to do custom sherwanis, get your measurement, etc. It's like quite a hassle, and I find like the market for this kind of tire is only growing as South Asians in North America and across the world, like basically the entire just diaspora, are like, really coming up in terms of our demographics and our, I guess, wealth, etc. Like I didn't have a
Hmm.
better way to say it. So I just see
Yeah.
that this is a growing market, and it's a market that is looking to spend. You know what I mean? So having
Mm.
an Indochino-ish kind of option for this kind of wear would be, for me personally, going through a wedding and everything would have been very handy. Like I just need to go in, get my measurements done, choose a design I actually like, and it's, basically hassle free and what I want.
Right. So, because I know, like, for example, myself for my wedding as well as my wife, for her, like, um, her dress, if you will, or suit was also like tailor made, like as in she went into like a boutique, or I guess that's what it's called, um, and they just took her measurements and they basically said, "What would you like made?" And she displayed it. She kind of showed them like a picture of what she wanted, and then they made it. Is that what you're kind of going for, or this would be more like online and more automated?
Definitely on the more online side, like like you like Indochina, they definitely have shops, and they sell like ties and stuff, but it's mainly there for you to go get your measurements done, see an example of some of their suits, see some of the examples of the materials, etc. So you're really just there to like interact with
Get
the
your
service.
measurements.
Yeah, exactly.
I think for me, a suit is more of like a high ticket item. I would want to see it before I purchase. And if this is all custom made, what's the return policy like?
So with Indochino, I think you have like a couple of weeks to go in and like uh, get any measurements fixed, or like I guess. But if you don't like the design, that's kind of on you because you kind of chose it, right? Like they
Well,
give
I
the
think
yeah.
yeah, but I think that comes down to like the whole online shopping thing where it makes it so hard. It's like sometimes like you see something and it's like very different when you actually go in, right?
Yeah, they do have most of the materials that they, or the most of the cloth they use for the suits on in the store itself, so you can see an example of like, hey, I really like this suit, or I really like this fabric, like, and they'll tell you like, okay, this is what the fabric is, this is what you can pair it with, like you can. It's cool because you can choose like the outer fabric, but you can also choose the inner lining. Am I the only one that used Indochino?
Uh,
Okay, I
Yeah,
I, I
me neither.
suggest it. I suggest it. I liked it.
Okay. I'll definitely be checking it out for sure. But clearly, I'm a sweats type of guy. We're always in front of our computers, so. But that's very interesting. Like I think it'd be um, it'd be something to consider. I'm just wondering, like, the cultural differences, right? As in, um, like, you yourself, you're like, yeah, definitely a market there because you want something like this made. I just wonder how many people would be open to that type of idea where they're not kind of like uh, handheld through the whole process. This is more of like you get your measurements and then you decide your design, and there's a broad selection of designs, and then you just select from one of those, right? Because generally, I see, at least from what I've seen from weddings, perhaps this might work from a day-to-day perspective. Like there's like my wife as well as my sister, they buy a bunch of suits, and they buy a lot of them, but then they get tailor made and things like that. But I wonder how often they would go to a site and say, "Yeah, this is exactly the type of suit I want," um, and then I just go in for my measurements. Right? They usually custom make a lot of them, at least for their weddings and like high ticket items. But maybe on the everyday suit side,
How about
that
if it's
might
not
actually be
their own wedding?
possible.
Like, how about if there's just a guest?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, yeah, that's a fair point then.
I think
Yeah,
if if
I
it's
like
a,
the idea actually.
if it's their own event, yeah, I think they're probably spending a little bit more. We can maybe add like a whole customized section. But I think for guests, um,
Yeah, so this is more is it's not really a custom suit, it's more of a custom sized suit because they have a selection, right, Mo?
They have a selection of fabric essentially and your measurements, and they will make the suit to that measurement. Plus, like I guess you can choose a different like different things about the suit. Like if you want 3 buttons versus two, if you want a wide flare, I don't know what that
oh, you
means.
can go that intense.
Yeah.
Does each one of those customizations cost more, or is it just like we're gonna make it from scratch anyway?
Yeah, some of them it's just like if you choose 3 buttons versus two, it's not going to add anything. I think if you do choose like a flare, it's maybe an extra bit. Like I think there's some options where it does increase the cost. Other options are like, choose one of these and it'll be the same price.
Very interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, and what also wanted to say, like the stuff, like the store is mainly like in America, but the stuff that gets made in India and China. That's why it's called Indochino. So like you already have expertise tailors in India, right? And instead of having it be like a very mouth to mouth market, you're kind of just creating a marketplace. But you're also like, I guess, yeah, sorry, you're like this service would be more of like the marketplace to connect interested like use clients in America to like
Tailors
yeah,
in
exactly,
India.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
Like you can
No, I like
even
that.
yeah, you can even like do it more decentralized where it's like you just take this you're basically the the site would just be as a way for you to order, save your profile, and like you as the service just put different tailors onto your service, and they can give you a collection of what you want, like what they can offer and what they can make, and you choose between them. Between
Hmm.
yeah,
That would actually be a really good idea because it's like if you design the platform to allow people to do this and then just go to essentially all shops in Brampton and say, listen, we're going to create the system. You're going to get a bit more volume. You get to bid on taking this contract, and whoever kind of takes it first gets that ability to get that made. Um, what do you guys think, right? And then basically be a back end system where somebody just an order comes up and they kind of opt for it and be like, yeah, I can take that order. Um, and then they handle the rest, right? They have that communication with that client. It's kind of like you're creating an Amazon type of marketplace for suits.
I would say it's more like an Uber. I think it's a
Say
more
that
like an.
again.
I would say it's more like an Uber, where it's like, yeah, I can take this, but then the issue comes like, so what? The customer's just gonna upload an image of what they're looking for. or each store, or I guess each one will upload their fabrics and stuff, and then
Yeah.
Yeah,
You would have to say these are the supported fabrics we would potentially be able to offer.
exactly.
and can each
Like
upload their
for
fabric?
for me, there's already systems where you just take a base image and then like it replaces the fabric on the image like as you scroll through them, right? Like I think that's already implemented somewhere in the world. Um, so I guess the sort of vision I see is like each storefront will have their own set of like I guess featured images or featured designs that they want to showcase and say like these are stuff we've done before and this is what these are the kind of offer fabrics and designs we offer that we can make for you. And then like as the user, it's kind of like a mix of Indochino, Etsy, and like Uber. Like you kind of melding all these concepts.
Yeah. No, I like that idea. Let's rate it. Everybody rate the idea. I give it 6.5 out of 10. Ali, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll put that on there. I think the issue is it's the same. It's like the whole chicken egg. I forget what's marketplace dilemma. It's gonna be that same dilemma. Um, was trying to find you. I think that's gonna be the hardest part: finding users and finding sellers at the same time.
Yeah, so Turan got so scared of rating the idea that he just left. Um, I personally think that in this marketplace, you can actually start off with um, sellers first because they can take the volume they can take is larger, right? So what I mean by that is usually when you have a marketplace issue, it's more of one to one, right? Like for example, let's say it's eBay,
Yeah,
right? With eBay, like a person will probably sell one or two things, and
yeah,
then other person on the buying side will buy one or two things, right? Whereas over here, it's like a single seller can probably accommodate 300 people,
yeah.
right?
If
So
you
you can start
would be fine.
exactly, yeah. So when it's asymmetric in terms of like how much a seller can handle or how much a buyer can handle, I think you can get away with um, getting one side first before the other.
I also think on that argument is that I think the margins are a bit higher on clothing side. So like even if they get an added one or two clients for like I guess on their end, not hopefully not a lot of effort. Like it might be worth it just to be like okay, like if we're gonna get two extra clients at that, and our margins on this are pretty small. Like sorry, not our margins on this are pretty good. Like might as well
Yeah.
sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
But then again, it's like going down the road of this, like ethnic wear in general of different cultures, I can understand. But with Indian culture, they try to dime everything, right? Like they will try to reduce the price as much as they can. And I wouldn't be surprised if they bought through the system somehow. If they're forced to buy it through the system, perhaps it would work. But even then, I think the prices just don't make sense because the extra amount you'll charge, they're probably like, I know 5 different like random aunties that could probably do this for me, you know?
That
I can buy the fabric myself and do it.
that is definitely yeah, that is definitely the dilemma with some of
Yeah.
our peoples.
Yeah. It's the cultural, like the culture you're trying to get into, which is our culture. It's very hard to,
well, I think
perhaps maybe our age group.
you'd have to find like the makers not from Canada. I think to compete on price,
Yeah.
find which is similar. I think what you're saying with Indochino, right? They're making it in India and China.
Yeah.
What's the wait times usually like after you order?
A few weeks, not terrible to be honest for something that's getting made and then shipped to you. It's pretty reasonable, I'd say.
Yeah.
I just don't know the market. I think there's something there, and it would be an easy like build out or relatively easier to build out. I just don't know the industry. I don't
Yeah,
know how much.
that's the mark. I feel like you already need to have some sort of relation within the industry to like get a foothold.
Yeah, 100%.
But then you
I
could
like that.
like you could put these clothing in the metaverse somehow.
Yeah. Speaking of the metaverse, nice transition,
Yes.
Ali. That's
Yeah.
exactly our next topic. Um, I was actually thinking about that. That's actually a very good idea. Like, I know you said it as a joke to kind of
Yeah.
change the topic, but it's actually very. If you think about it, they're using AR and VR to do these things, right? Especially AR, where Snap has made those glasses, and you're able to kind of just look at things how they look. And there was an example that I saw where this lady was trying on a purse, and she was able to see it on her person just with the glasses, right? So now you're able to try out how something would look before you even buy it, right? And I think that's an amazing use case. That's just the tip of the iceberg, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I personally think Facebook is underpriced. Like, people are understanding that they're investing a lot of money. And I know a lot of smart people analyze these companies and they understand these markets probably to a greater degree. I just have a little bit more faith in that this might actually work. If it's not VR, it might be AR, in my opinion.
It's a hot take.
It's a hot take. Maybe this won't age well, but
Well, Meta is tanking like a brick for sure at the stock price at least. It's taking a beating.
what is it now? Like 99 or something?
Yeah, I think it breached below 100. I think it's
No.
back up. Not even sure. I haven't been tracking it lately, but I know it's been lagging all the other big tech.
Yeah. From what I've heard, and I was listening to a podcast actually that they brought up this information, and they're spending about $4 billion. I think $4 billion a quarter on VR, and they said they're gonna actually bring that up, that level of investment, and they're gonna do that for like 10 years. That's their kind of vision.
How,
4 billion.
what are you spending it on?
$1 billion.
What the?
Well, I think the crux of the issue is that you need, like, how do I say this? Like, Facebook's initial adoption was one, it jumped from, like, I guess, like a laptop or desktop based, like, web app where you go on to something that was more mobile. So they had two platforms that they could sell, I guess, V1 of the metaverse, which is Facebook, right? You connecting virtually with your friends and family. Now, the V2 of the metaverse, which is what we're trying to build, is like based on VR and AR, but like the platform or technology just isn't there. Like,
Yeah.
the best you can do is just bulky. It's not as, like, the friction to use it is high. Like, your device cost is high, and for a person to use it is just bulky. Like, it's not seamless for you to like pull up like a device, put on your head, and then go on to the metaverse. Like, at that point, I might
Yeah.
as well see someone in real life.
Yeah, $12 billion for 1 year. Like it's
Well, okay, the way I see it, right? And I do understand it's a ridiculous amount, right? But one thing in their defense, I would say, and I don't know if it's a good defense, but here it goes. They, like, for example, the iPhone, when their investment to the iPhone was apparently like, I don't know, $3-4 billion, right? Initially. And that's total spend. But
how much?
3-4 billion,
Okay.
right? That's total spend on the iPhone across years or however long they took to make it. Now, I'm just thinking, like, they also had phones that were made since the 90s. You know what I mean? They had like a evolution of those phones and learnings that happened and these platforms that were created across the many, many years that type of device was there. Whereas VR, it's so new that you're essentially creating the V1 version of this platform, right? I'm sure have been VR like from before,
Yeah.
and there's been tests and things like that. But mainstream VR, they're kind of like the pioneers of it, right? And so to create the platform plus all the environment around it all at once, I think it kind of does require heavy investment, right? Whereas things like platforms like mobile devices, there's a bunch of companies investing a lot of money into that platform. So you're learning from your competitors as well, right? Like what's working, what's not working. Whereas right now I don't think there's a real competitor to Facebook when it comes to VR technology.
There is one, Valve, but like it's the higher end headset, like the Valve Index, but it's specifically for gaming. Well, not specific. It's specifically for consuming VR content or interactive content, and that's mainly games right now.
Oh wow, I didn't even know about this. So they essentially sold Oculus to Facebook, and then they made another VR
No,
headset.
the Oculus was always their own thing. Valve's was initially a partnership with HTC, and then they just took it over. Like the VR division is under them.
I swear, Meta bought Oculus from Steam.
No, at least as far as I know, Oculus was always independent.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, Oculus was a privately owned, privately run business. From what I remember.
I recall Facebook does buying like buying something now as well.
Yeah, they did. That's what Mo's saying. Mo and Trent is that Oculus was an independent company, and then they bought it and they acquired it.
Bought it?
Yeah.
It's been a while since they bought it.
Yeah,
They bought
yeah,
it
yeah.
many years ago.
Yeah.
2015, yeah. 2015 or 2014. Yeah.
And to their credit, like the Quest 2, I think is like pretty portable. It's one of like I was actually considering buying it, but it's also like $500, and like I feel like if I spent that much money on something to play games, I'd just get bored of it after some point and not play it again. So
Yeah. It's
so what's that game? A lightsaber or whatever?
oh,
Yeah.
Beat Saber, it's like you go like yeah.
It's actually pretty. So I do have the Steam the Oculus Quest 2. And
cool.
it's actually really good.
What do you do?
So basically, one of the we mainly watch movies. So like Netflix has this app.
Wait, you watch movies on your headset?
Yeah, I'll explain why. So
What?
essentially, there's Netflix app and there's the Prime app, right? So Netflix one is very interesting. Is you have essentially like 100 to 150-inch screen that you see, and you can watch your Netflix shows or whatever movies on that, and you're sitting in this like environment where it's like right next to the mountains, so you like look to your left hand side and you see mountains, and you're in this like big cozy area and you're watching Netflix. So you have this huge screen in front of you, right? So you now don't need a big screen TV because it exists in virtual reality, right? Now
Hold on. For the people who haven't been in virtual reality world, that's me.
Yeah.
So you're telling me there's 100 and whatever inch TV inside this headset that if you were to see it in real life, it would be the exact same in terms of the peripherals, the distancing, the way it's positioned. Holy shit,
Everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it looks good. Like it seems like you're watching the show as if you were watching it on that big screen TV. Right?
So if you didn't have a headset on,
yeah,
you would think you were actually in a theater.
Bingo.
Like, is the resolution good? Because I'm looking it up
Yes.
right now. That actually sounds sick.
Yeah, so
That's insane.
Now I'll blow your minds even more. So Amazon Prime, right? They one-upped Netflix because Netflix is like, it's like a big screen TV that you're watching, right? Netflix is like, F it, we're going to put you in a theater. So that the screen is like a theater screen, and it's just as far...
Prime.
Prime, yes. Yeah. Prime is doing that. So they've done that, and I watch like some Prime shows, and it's like you're sitting in a theater. And then what ends up happening is you play the show and you're watching it, and then you can actually move the screen. So initially you have to be sitting up, right, to watch this. and you can move the screen like up, and you can lay down and watch a theater
Oh wow.
sized screen while laying down, and you're watching the whole show. It's freaking ridiculous.
So can you watch it with friends? So can you invite friends to the same virtual theater
Um,
and watch it together?
I, I
Watch a
haven't
show
tried that.
together?
Potentially, but I haven't tried that.
That'd be epic.
Yeah.
That'd be epic.
And to be honest, it doesn't seem. It's something maybe like Amazon Prime hasn't done, but technically, that type of technology exists, right? Like they have work like interactive VR where I've met up with my friends in VR, um, and we just like go around, walk around these random places, and you can just talk and play games. And there, I remember with one of my friends, we went in VR, and there's like an open space, and it's Facebook creates this, and you go there and you tell jokes. So you like pick up a mic, and you kind of like tell jokes, and it's like open mic night, and there's a couple people listening and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of PlayStation Home. You guys know PlayStation Home?
Yeah.
Remember PlayStation Home like back in the day?
Well,
Yeah, that's kind of what I connect with when Cole's saying that, except it's happening virtually.
well, even before that, you have Second Life, and then you have The Sims. Like this is
Sims.
Yeah. Second Life was actually pretty big. Like I remember an article where someone spent like $1 million or something to buy like a virtual, like to build a virtual like building or whatever.
Yeah.
I wonder what that.
Well, and that sucks because it's like it's also controlled by a centralized thing, so it can like go away at any time. Whereas what Facebook's trying to do is utilize some of these like blockchain kind of things, NFTs and things along those lines to make sure that you actually own that property, right?
What's the likelihood of Facebook not having centralized control over something they spent billions of dollars trying to create?
Touche. Fair point. That was a dumb argument. But I mean, as in, they might respect property rights because of the fact that the property rights live on an external blockchain, right? They don't have control over. But yeah, you're right. Like, I think it would be in their best benefit to do that because they still own the platform, right? Even though they can't dictate who owns what, and they can't take that away. If they respect those rights, again, key point, they have to respect those rights. I think it'd be in their benefit because then people were more likely to adopt it because they're like, oh well, my rights are respected, etc. Right? But we'll see.
Now that gets into a like whole thing about digital government and DAOs.
Yeah,
I know.
but it makes sense as to why. Like one opinion I heard was they're doing this because of the fact that they got screwed over by Apple, right? The Apple controlled the platform. They turned on privacy, and now they've lost insane amounts of money, right? And so now they're like, "F it, we're gonna try to create the next platform so we don't get into the same position again," right?
Yeah, I think that's why there's such a big drop in the stock price because the future earnings is projected to be lower based on what's been happening with the fact that, with Apple's, what is that called? Like it's a privacy confirmation thing. Like you can choose to turn it on or
like,
off, or as a user.
Ask not to track or something like that.
Yeah, that's screwing Meta big time.
And I think that's just something that like it's not just Apple. Google's gonna do the same thing where it's like this is something that people, well, not even out of their own initiative. I think it's also going to be like a government thing where it's like by default you can't track your users for monetary gain unless you have explicit permission.
Yeah.
I guess it sucks for Facebook because they don't have a platform that they control in that sense, whereas Apple and Google, Google is essentially the internet. So
yeah, exactly.
It's interesting.
But yeah, no, I personally think Metaverse has some sort of application in the future. I'm not sure if it's to the level of the investment Facebook's doing, but if it does take off, they will definitely be the future.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but we don't even know what they're investing, what they're putting them.
Mhm.
There's probably so many secret projects going on in there that we have no idea.
Yeah.
And next thing you're gonna be like, oh shit, that makes sense now.
Yeah. Well, I saw some demo where they had gloves that you put on, and you can actually, like, if you hold something in VR, it will stop. Like if it's a
Oh,
cup, it will stop,
yeah,
and it'll actually feel like there's tactile force pushing back.
yeah,
And now
yeah,
it'll feel real, which is
yeah.
insane.
That's insane. Like it feels like you're holding a cup, but you're holding it in virtual reality, not
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know if I've seen it, but I heard of it. That's insane.
So if that happens, it's like that's a whole another dimension, right? I know that in somewhere in Japan they simulated taste at one point. I'm not sure
How do
how
you
they
do
did
that?
that, but that's insane.
That's yeah. How do you do that?
I have no idea. I have no idea. So I don't Facebook didn't do it, but like somewhere somebody in Japan did that. I will send you guys the article, or we'll put it in the show notes if we find it.
Who knows?
I pulled it. I pulled the line, guys. I did it. We're officially
Oh,
podcasters.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Way to make it official.
Yeah.
Oh,
On that note, I think that wraps up a pretty
Yeah.
solid. I don't think you can get any better ending than
100%. That's how we should end it. End on a high. All right.
you gotta open up your mic so you can drop it. Go.
Where's your mic? You should have brought your mic today. I thought we would have.
I switched locations today, so I don't have
Fair
my
enough.
mic on.
Fair enough. All right, we'll do it next time. All right, thank you everyone for watching. My name's Kowinder.
Ali.
Mohammed.
And Tehran.
See you next time on the Select All podcast.
Sayonara.